It's one of those sports that goes beyond just a normal hobby or passion. It's a sport which people become obsessed with and they get really, really addicted to. You're certainly at the mercy of the ocean, but also you're just praying the conditions work for you. You can't control many of the variables when it comes to surfing, and so that gives you an element of surprise, there's mystery, and the fact that things can't go your way all the time, or you can't control everything, makes you want to keep coming back. Being at the beach means being around waves, and then, whether it's natural curiosity for some people, but you just have exposure to the ocean and surf. But also my dad grew up at the beach, and so he's been a lifelong surfer, and so ever since I was 4 or 5, he started pushing me into waves with me and my brothers and my sister, and obviously you get hooked straight away, and that's kind of how it started. There's something about a barrel which, I think surfers could just struggle to articulate it. It's a feeling of, it's hard to articulate the feeling. It's obviously it's euphoric and you've got adrenaline rushing through you, but it's also just impossible to describe, because it's one of those things where when it happens, time slows down. I still go to bed sometimes with the picture in my mind. I'm looking at the surf forecast, just crossing my fingers, hoping that the surf conditions are going to align for my weekend. You get there and it's still dark and there's no one around, and you feel like you're kind of winning at life because you've beaten the crowds. Those first few breaths of salty, fresh air that the wind blows off the water, and they just get into your nostrils, and you feel revitalised and re-energised, and you just feel like it's where you're supposed to be. There's just no better feeling than kind of getting your feet in the sand and sprinting to get to the waves. The water can be really, really cold, so when you first submerge your head, it's like a bit of a cold shock, but it's a super, super relaxing feeling when you just do that first dive under the water and your hair slicks back and you just kind of take a deep breath underwater with your eyes closed, and it's just such a relaxing feeling straight away. And then you just start paddling your arms and you get into this rhythm, and you're focusing on like your freestyle stroke and just putting your fingers through the water, and you feel like you can feel all the different parts of your body just like being nicely touched by the water. It's a long paddle out over a deep channel, so that's freaky, you're not sure what's underneath you. And then you get to this like open ocean spot where it breaks on shallow rock, and you're waiting for a wave just patiently. Maybe you look around, the sun's just rising, it's a beautiful setting, and you feel lucky to be in the surroundings that you're in. This one wave, it is what's called a slab, which it is a type of wave that when it breaks, it folds over itself to give you a really, really hollow wave, so that a surfer can fit inside the gap between like the start of the wave and where the lip comes over, so you're inside the wave basically. This one wave, it was so big that day, and I almost got out there and paddle straight back in because I was about to cry and I was just so scared. But this one wave came and I just paddled like so hard to get under. You feel like you have to kind of get underneath it. That's how it works with these slab waves. You just have to get paddled really hard and really early. So I'm paddle, and I get up. You paddle hard. You're trying to get onto the right position, and when you first take off, and you feel the power of the wave underneath you. You just try to harness that and just relax as much as you can, because you can't fight it. So you just go with it and try and angle your board along so you can just ride it. But when it's powerful like that, and you can really feel the board and the fins just trying to hold on, and you take off on that first wave, and you feel the wax in your feet. And I just remember I kind of pushed so hard up to get back up in there, and I had this huge barrel vision, and it just comes over me, and I'm in there like, oh my God, this is happening. And then it explodes just on the right side of me, and like my ears, it was so loud. It was one of the loudest things I've heard in surfing, and it just exploded, and I'm in there, and I just like, I didn't stand up. It's not a stand-up barrel. It wasn't that big, but it was one of the biggest I've ever been in, so I wasn't in a full crouch position. Basically take off, nosedive straight away, so I just go straight to the bottom, and the wave picks me up, and just I obviously do a few somersaults, but then I was pinned against the bottom of the rock, so I'm just pinned. The wave's pinning me against the reef, and I'm basically lying horizontal on the rock, and I don't know how far down I am, so I'm just waiting patiently for it to like let me back up. And you're just telling yourself, relax, like it'll stop, and you can obviously get back up. But then you're worried about like, how long are you being held down for? Because the next wave of the set might hold you down even further. So if you get two waves, you're really, really scared. So I'm pinned against the reef and the water there, and then I can feel that I can paddle, I can swim back up. And I do one breaststroke, second breaststroke, and it's still not getting to the surface. And I did the third one, and then on the fourth one, I had just breached. I could see it, came up gasping, and then the next wave came, and I just like, if this gets me and like holds me down, I'm in trouble. But luckily, it just wiped me, and I was back up after a couple of seconds. It can give you this awesome feeling of soloism. Like you can just go out there by yourself and feel like you're the only person in the world, and you feel like you are at one with nature. There's nothing else on your mind at a time like that except being grateful for what nature can provide to you, and that there is no doubt that it has been beneficial for my mental health, because it's something that you can rely on to be a good feeling.